How to get good marks in absolutely any exam you give. Just like any other life skill, even studying boils down to following a few key points. That's why today's video is my 6 secrets to great grades in exams. Let's go so that mummy and papa are forever happy and they let you watch more BeerBiceps videos. Secret number 1, we're talking about the exam game plan. Basically, you divide your week into subjects. On Monday, you're going to study geography, Tuesday, history, Thursday, English, and so on. Basically, you want to figure out a system for yourself. Now, this system works for most people, but a lot of people tend to get bored studying one subject the entire day. So if you're that kind of person, just like I was, you can divide your day into 2 subjects. Your second half of your day where you're selecting another subject, it kind of keeps you entertained and it makes sure that your study output is maximum. Now, even if this system isn't working for you, what you can try doing is dividing your entire day into 2-hour slots. Give one subject to one slot and then cover about 4 to 5 subjects in one single day. Remember, in the long term, if you're able to follow this timetable you're set for yourself, that'll be more than half the game won. Alright, so the next tip we're talking about is strategizing your study time. I'm going to break this strategy down into 3 key points. The first key point are the golden sessions of studying. Now, the bitter truth about the Indian education system is that it's all about mugging up, rote learning a certain part of your textbook and then puking it out on paper. That doesn't mean you don't understand what you're supposed to mug up. It doesn't mean you blindly mug up. The first session of these 3 sessions is actually understanding your subject or your chapter. You need one reading of your textbook to just understand, okay, what's in this particular subject or chapter. You can completely skip this first session if you pay attention in your tuition class or your classroom. Let the teacher carry out the first session for you. Let her give you an idea of your whole subject or your chapter. The second golden session is very crucial to you. Most of your time and effort goes into this particular second session. It's all about actually learning that subject, that chapter. The kind of questions that you'll get asked from that chapter, you gotta learn in this session. This is where you actually gotta mug up or rote learn certain answers, certain questions. And again, even while we're talking about rote learning, there's a whole strategy that I will talk about later. So you gotta make sure that you treat this second session like the last time you're ever reading your textbook. Pretend as if after the second session, you're not gonna get to read your textbook and you're gonna go and have to give your exam. The third session is a revision session. After you're done with the first and second sessions of learning, rote learning, the third is just to polish and recall your subject. So this is the way your human mind remembers certain subjects or certain answers. Every time you try remembering an answer, your brain forms a neural pattern. So if you're asked a particular question, your brain recalls that neural pattern. The number of times that you actually re-give your brain all that information, that's how strong the neural pattern gets. But let's talk a little bit more about that second crucial session, the mugging up session. You've got to remember the neuron theory I spoke about, and also you've got to remember that everyone is different. Everyone has their own ways of learning things. Some people are more audio driven, some people are more visually driven, and some people are more driven by their process of writing. So if you're someone who's more driven by audio, that means you try learning a certain answer, cover it with your hand and then repeat it in your mind. If you're more driven by a visual process, then you keep reading that same answer in your textbook again. Try underlining a few keywords, just try remembering it through your vision. The third way of doing things works for most people, where you actually try to write down exactly what you've learned. So if you've just learned an answer, then try writing it down in a textbook. You can write it in a rough book, or even better, you can try making some neat notes if that helps you study. Remember, even rote learning, mugging up boils down to how much effort you put into your work. If you're someone who's struggling with mugging up, rote learning, the kind of practice you can take up is making code words out of answers or making code sentences. So suppose you're asked the functions of a skin. It's support, it's protection, and it's for your hair to grow. So SPH. So try remembering SPH as the code word or make a sentence out of it. Like skin protects hair. Skin, S for skin, S for support, protects for protection, hair for hair. Skin protects hair, skin protects hair. Keep repeating this, keep writing this down. That's how you mug up things. You make your own code words and then you work with those code words. You try remembering them as far as possible. And remember, at the end of the day, it's just about effort. That's also where the third key point comes into play, mathematics. Don't be that person who says that I'm just not good in maths, so I'm going to give up. Yes, some people have been given a talent with mathematics, but that doesn't mean that you won't be good at maths if you're not born with that talent. Math, like any other subject, boils down to hard work. It boils down to practicing it for about 20 to 25 minutes every single day, just a little bit, and that will do the trick. Next important tip might seem a little bit obvious, but trust me, in our education system, it's one of the most important things you can do. Care about presentation. We're talking primarily about two factors. Firstly, wherever you can, express your answer in points. The way a human mind is built, it perceives points much better than it perceives paragraphs. And usually even marking is based on points. And the second obvious factor while we're talking about presentation is handwriting. While we're talking about handwriting, remember, some people just have a genetically terrible handwriting like I do. You can't really fix your own handwriting, but what you can do is kind of manipulate it a little bit. Firstly, try keeping all your small letters of the same height. And secondly, try making all your letters slightly fatter than you're used to writing it. That's what worked for me really well, and that's what will work for most people with bad handwritings. As you can see here, this is my normal handwriting. This is a slightly fatter version of it, which looks much neater. The next tip that we've got to talk about are distractions. These aren't evil elements, but they're just not meant to be there when you're studying. Remember, getting good grades isn't about who works for the longest number of hours, but it's about who gives them maximum efficiency in that little time that they're spending while studying. Someone who studies with full concentration for about 6 hours may perform better than someone who studies for 9 hours in total. So when we're talking about distractions, there's 3 ways of dealing with them. The first is completely getting rid of them while you're studying. Keep them in another room or give them to your sibling or your parent and only take them back after your exams, or you go to the second way of dealing with distractions, incentivizing yourself. Using these distractions as a reward at the end of every study session. Your brain eventually starts treating these distractions as that dopamine kick, that feel-good hormone kick you get at the end of the process of studying. Use these as a reward for your studying process. Or the third way of dealing with them is kind of using them in installments. By installments, I mean that you should divide your time between your books and these distractions. Study for 3 hours, don't think of any of these distractions for 3 hours, and then at the end of the 3-hour mark, for half an hour, you use one of these distractions. Completely switch off in the gym or while playing the PlayStation or browsing through social media. Don't think of your work. If you completely switch off while you're having fun, it improves your efficiency once you come back to your studies. Alright, so the next tip we're talking about are the physical factors when it comes to exams. Primarily 3 things. Firstly, we're talking diet. If you're in the middle of your exams, try not following a keto diet or any weight loss diet really. Don't follow too many diet protocols. What you should follow is the rule of not eating too much heavy food. Heavy food slows down your metabolism, and if your metabolism is slowed down, if your body is slow, your mind will also work slowly. During exams, you want your mind to be working at a lightning fast speed. And in order to increase that speed, we got to talk about factor number 2, that's sleep. If you want to work at maximum efficiency, you've got to get about 8 to 9 hours of good sleep in the day. If you're someone who gets up early in the morning to study, that's okay, but make up for that sleep in the rest of the day. One of the protocols I always followed was that I'd get up in the morning, study till about 4 to 5 p.m. and then at 5 p.m. I'd make sure that I take some kind of power nap, some kind of just like a 1-hour break completely from the waking world. Just that 1 hour's time of switching off, or even a 15-minute power nap can kind of reboot your brain, restart your brain. And then you get a lot more energy to get through the rest of the day. That 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. session is completely fueled because of that nap you've taken. And finally, we got to talk about the third factor that not too many people speak about, meditation. It's not for Babajis, it's not for old people. It's primarily for teenagers or young adults like yourself. Meditation improves your brain's processing power. It also improves your memory, your memorizing capability, and above all, it increases your focus. So that in that study period, you're only in your books, you're nowhere else. You're not thinking about other papers, you're not thinking about other human beings or other problems you have. It's just you and your book, which is very difficult to do for most people. So just for the sake of your work, to get ahead in terms of grades, one of the secret hacks is regular meditation. Maybe start your day with 20 minutes of meditation every day, but even if you start it with about 5 to 10 minutes, it's enough. If you want more information on meditation, go check out the meditation playlist on BeerBiceps. And the final secret we got to talk about is this. Nobody likes to study. The ones who end up getting great marks, good grades, are the ones who make better decisions than all the other people. It's just like someone who's trying to lose weight. It's always a battle between choosing a cake or choosing a healthy chicken breast or boiled eggs. Every single human being wants that piece of cake or that burger. No one wants that healthy chicken breast or eggs. But the ones who make those choices in the long term are the ones who win the battles. Remember, long-term success in life is always about conquering yourself. Your mind might want to enjoy itself. Your mind might want that PlayStation or that television. But internally, your conscience wants you to study. When you know that you're doing something wrong, you will get that inner hunch that maybe I should be studying. And if you're the kind of person who chooses to get up away from that television set, away from that novel, away from that PlayStation, and then if you choose to study in that moment, if you're able to conquer your mind, those little moments add up. And the more moments you have like that in your preparatory leave, in your study leave, the more moments you have will amount to a better end result. Your end grade will keep improving as you make a series of these choices. Remember, no one likes to study, but it's all about conscious efforts. Don't study for just good grades. Study for the future version of yourself. When you're going and checking your results, you don't want to be that person who's failed or who's got bad marks. You want to be that person who surprises everyone with their marks. Holy shit, Ranveer got the best marks in the class. I wasn't expecting that. Be that person. Either way, guys, if you like today's video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share it with all your friends who are studying for the same exams that you're studying for. And as always, those are our handles, that's our Facebook page. I hope you guys liked today's video. Give it a thumbs up, and we will see you later.